So hello all, welcome. We unfortunately have had some our panelists, our filmmakers weren't able to attend today for this month, for the today's series around going outdoors, where we're going to hope to catch them at another time, but we just wanted to come on and see how people felt about the films that we presented, and that there's some really great opportunities for Urban Outdoors Association, Michelle Cook and Gerald Ferguson at Urban Outdoors Boston at gmail.com. We can send out that information to let you know. But these films are some of the most amazing films that I don't know I've seen. And Allison, do you want to say a little bit about this? Was one of your programs for the festival that you were really interested in curating?
Yeah, and I think that one of the important things that there was a lot of, like recently, there's been a lot of talk about getting people outdoors. And we saw in some of the movies that we had, the films we had earlier, talking about claiming spaces, and that's actually where we came from. We came from being outdoors, and over the years we've been pushed out. And so I think all of these films in these series really talk about how we do love the outdoors and how it is healing and how we can go outside and claim spaces that typically, Black and brown people don't, or people perceive that we don't.
Right.
Um, I was very inspired by all of these and just wanted to be outdoors. I mean, I was like,
I know.
Can I live in Alaska?"
I know. Can I just go fly fishing? I mean, it was amazing. But I mean, I think it's so funny because it's like, yeah, we're just sort of like a lot of the films in the festival this year, we're talking a lot about reclaiming space and feeling comfortable in spaces. And all of them really talked about that. They talked about, am I going to feel comfortable in that space? And I think, I mean, I've certainly had that feeling about going somewhere, whether you're going camping, whether you're, going
Going in the
fishing, you're
woods.
going in the woods. Right? Exactly. You're going in the woods. What are you doing going in the woods? Don't go in the woods. And it's like this non-traditional, and it's not. I mean, and so many of them talked about it as being sort of a mental health thing too, right? The spiritualness of the water, about feeling really freer in that outdoor space. And when you grow up in an environment that you're in the city and you don't have that around you, then you feel captive. And once these kids, and they're doing great work taking kids from different communities to these spaces, has really transformed people.
And I think it was also really interesting about the redwood and the
Oh,
conservation. It's like, they were saying we're not only in those spaces for relaxation and leisure, we're also in the movement. We're in the environmental movement, and we're in the movement to conserve. And so, when they get that space and then say, we want people from underserved communities to make decisions about how this space is being used, I think is really important also.
right. And people don't normally think of that as Black people going into an outdoor space like that. And traditionally, you're being told that they don't know how to upkeep it. They don't care about taking care of it. They don't know. How do they know about conservation? Like, how is that woman an environmental lawyer? That's not what an environmental lawyer looks like. How is Slim
Right.
Pickens, you know, you know, opening up an outdoor store? You're a Black guy. What are you doing opening an outdoor store? And it's like, no, and you, like you said before, we're from the outdoors. It's like wade in the water. Like, we grew up in the water. We grew up on the water. And it's like, yeah, no, we need to claim those spaces as ours, because those are our spaces as well. And I love the way each one of these films did that, whether it was that guy conquering the crown,
Right.
the triple crown of hiking those amazing mountains and doing that. But you're always fighting against that stereotype, right? And that's what I feel like, that there was always fighting against these stereotypes.
And I think that so the reason why we wanted to curate something like this is because this is a movement, and I think there's a lot of people in Boston, and I put in the chat some resources because there's a lot of meetups in Boston. There's Outdoor Afro, there's Urban Outdoors, there's a lot of organizations locally who are trying to do the same thing, get people outdoors, and get people outdoors with groups that look like them so that they feel more comfortable.
And there's a lot of organizations that work with kids to take them
Right.
outdoors. Like Yes
And
does
and
that,
adults, if you
and
want to
adults.
go if you want to go hiking, you can go too.
Right, exactly. And I think it's, for all of them, again, talking so much about how it helps them. And we've been, people have been talking about different ways about self-care and taking care of yourself, especially during this COVID, and the Black Lives Matter and understanding that we need to do that, and getting outdoors is certainly something that helps you do that. I mean, we grew up fishing and being outdoors, and when you think about it, we're really privileged to be able to have that opportunity, and so many people don't. But you're right, it's there. It's even just walking. It's not like you have to take this massive leap and go kayaking and start fly fishing and go to the redwoods and go camping and be outside. In the forest, there are other ways that you can do that, and running for two people was that.
Right. And I think especially in Boston, we're surrounded by ocean, we're surrounded by green spaces. And I think some of these local organizations are saying you don't have to leave the state. There are plenty of places in Boston that you can go to be outside, to touch this soil, to feel the water.
Right. No, I think that's really important. You don't even have to go outside. Right. You don't have to leave Boston. You don't have to leave the city. There are all these wonderful hiking trails and places that you can go. I mean, that's what amazed me about that redwood. I mean, I didn't know anything about that. And to be able to, and for them to be open enough to say, you're right, let's figure out how we can make sure that there are diverse people coming into this space. Let's make sure that we bring those folks here first. And to be flexible and to be understanding about how that is. I thought that was great too, to be able to see that, to be able to see an organization understand the importance of that.
And I'm really curious. I mean, and I wish, we had a chance to talk to the filmmakers as well as, some of the people that the films were about. I mean, this is also a filmmaking organization that does this. This is what they do. They go out and they uplift the stories of Black and brown people out in the outdoors. 4 of the films came from the same film company. So I'm just, curious, why they decided to do that. I mean, and the films are beautifully shot too. So.
Right. And we might be able to have an opportunity to see Greg and bring Greg back, who runs something called Wonder Camp, and be able to have that conversation and figure out how we can get involved in that way, and what stories he's capturing, and maybe capturing stories here for like Outdoor Afro and other places that are local, that we can be doing the same thing. So is there anything else you wanted to say about the outdoors?
No, I
just to be in the great outdoors.
It did. I mean, the Alaskan wilderness, I think that's where she was, right?
Yes,
It was
exactly.
just so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. And her story was also really, really beautiful. I mean, they were all very similar and touching on themes of feeling like this wasn't their space and they weren't safe, to I'm going to claim it, and I'm going to be in that space, and hopefully other people will. So I have nothing else. I have nothing more to say.
Right. But I mean, and then wonderful thing about that too, about saying like, I didn't know whether or not I was going to belong, but once, you have a passion for something, you have a passion for fly fishing, you have a passion for running, you have a passion for hiking, you're going to find your people. And it seemed like at that point, when they found their people, it didn't matter. Right.
Exactly.
And then it became right. And then it really becomes a community, and you're part of a community. And that's what I loved about those stories, is that they didn't stop and they didn't say, no, I'm not going to feel comfortable there, so I'm not going to go. They were like, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going to sort of like find my tribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Great.
Well, thanks for coming on and talking about your one of your curated pieces on the festival.
Very happy to.
We hope that we will get an opportunity to talk to some of these folks at a later date. But as Alison said, there's some really great ways for you to get outdoors. Great groups and places here in Boston and throughout Massachusetts. So we certainly hope you do so. It's summer and there's a lot to see and do.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you around the fest.
All right. Bye-bye.